Hello everyone, and welcome to day 7 of our California trip. Today is the second to last day of our adventure, and we're departing from Trinity Center Airport in Northern California over here, and we will be heading down southwest towards Shelter Cove Airport, just on the coast. As I said, it's the second to last day. After today there will be just a longer leg, the longest leg of the trip, but definitely the most exciting one, down the coast on top of the Golden Gate Bridge in the San Francisco Bay, and then around the International Airport to come to Half Moon Bay, again a stunning airport on the coast. For today there is no flight plan, it's a straight shot. I was thinking of just heading for a VOR, just to add something that we haven't done before. So instead of going down, we are now over here, we need to go here. I was thinking of just going for the VOR and then intercepting the approach to runway 12 to runway 12. There are no published charts for the airport, so it will be all visual. We can use the extended center line, maybe like we did in the second video, I believe, and just navigate that way. The plane is here on the ground, charging batteries with the GPU, so we'll just step in and do a quick configuration, and then we'll be on our way. I've already loaded the aircraft. There's a couple of passengers as usual, a little bit of luggage, and it's 100 miles of trip, 120 miles of trip in total, so we will take 120 gallons of fuel, and that should be enough. As we're going for the VOR, slightly longer, so I'll add just a few gallons here and there, and we're good. Now let me close all the doors. Get the GPU. It's quite noisy. And there we go. So, well, as we have the GPU, let's do our configuration quickly now. See if, yeah, declutter. $20 miles. Here, of course, will be very important to have terrain in mind. There we are, PFD. Yeah, we will need all the indications. We will be flying with the VOR, so we'll keep. Yeah, we'll keep it as it is. Nav1 and Nav2. We're using standard weather again. Unfortunately, today at Shelter Cove on the coast, it was overcast at 1100 feet, so that wasn't really doable. Let's just confirm that the weather is standard. There we go, QNH, yeah, 1013. We'll just put go onto our PFD, we put standard barrel. And that's it, and then we're ready with that. Then over here, well, as we're not following a magenta line, we need to be aware of the topography around us. I'll leave the topographic map, then I normally switch into the black one. We have a bit more awareness of where we are. There we are, so nothing else to be done there. We'll just adjust the landing field elevation. Well, it is on the sea, so I guess it is around about 0. There's a little bit of rocks there, so I don't know if it's on a cliff. Let's double check. It's 0Q5 Shelter Cove. Yeah, 65 feet. There we go. Landing field elevation, manual. Rounded up to 50, and we're good with that. Okay, if we start the engine, we put nav and strobe on. Not worry about too much about the lights. We have the GPU, so battery is going to be okay. Generator to main, fuel pump on, oxygen on. Switch the screen and bring up the timer. There we go. Start it on for a couple of seconds, then release. There we are. Start the timer. Low idle. Fuel is going in. NG is rising. ITT is rising. There we are. No more than 630s. Very nice start. 50% by 60 seconds, and we reset and hide the timer. Fuel pump goes to auto. Fuel selector manual. Autopilot and trims on. Just check that the fuel selector is moving. The selector, if you press shift, and we're good. Generator is on main. And turn the screens back normal. There we are. Flight idle. At this point we can turn the bleeds on. Air condition on. Remove the GPU. And put the source to battery. Inertia separator goes on. Now we check all the values. Everything is in the green. Torque, NG, temperature, oil pressure, and temperature. And the battery is charging nice and happily. Set the trims now. Removing the trims in the green. Rudder trim ever so slightly to the right of the white mark. There we go, inertia separator has come on. Taxi light can go on. Just double check everything is correct. Here, source battery generator to main. Auxiliary fuel pump to auto. Fuel selector auto, autopilot auto. Good. Airflow, remember to move it to the right. Where it should be, and it's a little quieter as well. Perfect. So what we're going to do, as we see on our plan, we need to head for 214. But yeah, I think we'll do the VOR. We'll just to see that, and that puts us in a good position to go and land. We'll land then from this side. We'll just depart. Turn on a heading of, well, 260 roundabout there towards the VOR. Then we tune the VOR. Let's see if we... I doubt we will get the VOR signal here already, as we are down below all this terrain. Let's see if we tune that VOR, what happens. Now that VOR, realistically probably we would then pick up the signal once we leave all this terrain. But it is 114.0. So we'll set it here, 114.114 decimals, and there we go. Do on nav 2 as well. We don't need anything else. There we go. Yeah, that's quite realistic. There, it doesn't get the signal. Even though I wonder if it will get it once we are at altitude, because X-Planes has a very short range for VORs, but we'll see about that. Okay, ready to taxi. Let's get out of here. Shocks off. Parking brake is off. Let's do a shorter taxi. We'll depart from here and then we'll make a turn once we're in the air. There we go. Stop here for a second. Feather the engine, but everything is correct. Yeah, goes back to below 600. Turn it back. Pitot heat goes on. Normally, of course, do remember you will put the transponder on. It is now on. We'll check the traffic radar. We'll operate and go above. Sometimes we omitted that, as I said, we were not on VATSIM and etc., but just to show how it works. And then we can put the weather radar. There we are, landing light goes on. Flaps down to takeoff. And there we are. All the values are in the green. We are below 50 amps, so we can depart. The battery is charging. Landing field elevation is set here. CAS is showing only parking brake and inertia separator on, which is what we need. And the flaps are set. Landing lights are on. This one comes up. And we're good to go. This is the parking brake. With this big ramp over here, so we definitely don't want to run into that at speed. So I'll just let me clear that. There we go. I start from here. Lovely. Synchronize the heading. Just press the center of the knob. Heading 327. The heading bug is at 327. Perfect. So we'll make a left turn. We'll see. High terrain. Yeah, it's fine. We can definitely clear this terrain in the TBM. There you go. Throttle up. Around 50%. Prop RPM in the green. 2000. Set. Take off throttle. The short runway. And then we release the brakes. We did not press our toga button, but we did it now, so the autopilot is set. And voila. Pitch up, pick up the brakes. Gear goes up. Onto the flight directors. Normally what we do, we decrease the vertical speed. But with this terrain around us, we do not, especially with what's ahead of us, we don't want to do that. Definitely don't want to do that. What we'll do, we'll activate heading. Select our altitude. You see, two things we forgot today. The altitude as well to set. Keep flying manually. Select the altitude at around 10,000 feet and select vertical speed. Bring the flaps up. Vertical speed we can select around 1,500 and we can activate the autopilot now. As you see, that's why it's very important to set this airplane always on the ground, because it's very difficult to scroll the knobs. They're very dark, the activation areas are very small, and you can get always the zoom on the view is really complicated. So as I said, I don't use a checklist because I want to make it a little bit quicker, less boring for you guys watching. Get there quickly, but yes, do make sure that you have all those things set. So especially the altitude. I set the heading and I wasn't paying attention and the altitude wasn't set. So we're now climbing. Let's try and maintain that 170 knots. We could actually, considering the terrain around us, we could climb. Actually, let's climb at 124, which is the optimal rate of climb. Let's start our turn and see. We said we should be flying around 260. Especially in the turns, to make sure you monitor the speed. We want to go at around about 20,000 feet. We're looking for 124, as we said. And look at the performance of this. Well, I was about to say this little toy, but it's a $3 million toy. Yeah, it's not picking up the VOR yet. I mean, there's a lot of mountains from between here and there, so we'll see. We keep climbing and see what happens. We can turn off the inertia separator and the landing light. Watch for that NG increasing. We are losing speed, but the NG will be increasing, so let's see. Should be stabilizing. Yeah, 124, perfect. Let's head for 27. No, 260 should be okay, actually. Torque at 99. Especially at those limits, always check the ITT. 709, perfect. Of course, at these latitudes, always consider the variation of the compass. You can see it's not straight north. There we are. We have now we have the VOR signal now. So we can just see what the intercept course is. No, and it's not. Yeah, it is picking up. There we are. So we keep turning the knob, the course knob, until, of course, you can see we're intercepting. 228. So we turn left. Oh. 227. Perfect. Keep increasing the torque and decreasing the vertical speed as you climb. always forget to make it a little quieter. So at this point we can just nav. The autopilot will intercept automatically the VOR. The autopilot follows what you select here. So that's why nav works for both GPS and VOR. You don't have a localizer button. Just select nav here and CDI. If you were to turn this way, you can see the autopilot starts trying to find what you select here, the GPS signal. But remember that if you want to look at a second VOR, if you were to go to this VOR first and to this one here, if you want to set the course, to do that you will need to, whilst you're going to the VOR, first synchronize the heading, put the autopilot in heading mode, and then at this point you can change this one and find your course and play with this one. But you need to first put it on heading, otherwise it's gonna try and follow the next mode straight away. Put it back here, put it back to nav. We see VOR is here. There we go. We're now 20,000 feet. VOR, altitude 20,000 feet. Keep checking all our values. Temperature is okay. Well, cabin pressurization is okay as well. We just need to decide when to start descending. Luckily we have the DME, the VOR, so that's not a problem. Now the VOR is quite far from the coast actually, so quite far from Shelter Cove. That would be around probably what? This is 85 miles. Yeah, around 30-40 miles. So we can lose another, we can be here around 8,000 feet. Probably. So we need to lose 12,000 feet before we get there. Let's set now 8,000 feet to be at the VOR. That would be 24 miles to get there. We start descending around 28. We don't need to lose speed. Can actually descend at 24 exactly. We left ourselves a nice margin after that as well. There we are, 20 miles to go. Doing 291 knots. Let's divide it by 60, that's around 5 miles per minute. We'll be there in 4 minutes. We will try and keep a 3 degrees descent path. We will do that manually. As we said, as we did in previous videos, just need to multiply your ground speed by 5. It would be 5.3, but 5 is accurate enough. And that gives you your descent rate in feet per minute. Of course, it's easier to divide by 2 and then add a 0 rather than multiply by 5. It's incredible how within a relatively short distance California turns from desert to really lush forests here. Tells us as well here when we want to find out the radial from a VOR. So if you go on the main map over here, and at the outer knob you start turning and you scroll these tabs. So we have map, waypoint, and nearest. On nearest, if you scroll you turn the inner knob, then you have VOR, nearest NDB, nearest intersection, or airport. It's really handy. That's all GPS, of course. Nearest VOR we see is FOT, where we're going, and that's on a radial of 232. "24 miles now, so we start our descent, vertical speed, we go down, so 300 knots, 1,500 feet per minute. 300 knots divided by 2, plus 0 on the end. And now we should be on a nice 3 degrees descent path. So we should make it on top of the VOR at 8,000 feet. Sorry, 12,000 feet. We're losing 8,000. Probably even see the distance from the airport from here. Let's see. Yeah, Shelter Cove, 46 miles from where we are. Of course, with a GPS, with these many options, with a navigational system with these many options using GPS, I guess you'd be very rarely using VORs. This doesn't make much point. Doesn't make much sense. As we're descending, of course, we're losing ground speed. We're just slightly the rate of descent. 280 knots, 1,400 feet per minute. So the airport is now 42 miles. We need to lose 50,000 feet. We are a little high. And just adjust, increase the rate of descent a little bit. We're still going down at the same speed with 60% of torque, so we can definitely afford to go down a bit quicker. Let's keep monitoring that and see when we are on an ideal descent path. Very close to the VOR. So the airport is at 163 degrees from us. Of course, we want to intercept that center line. So as we said, let's see. We'll put the autopilot to heading. Synchronize the heading. And let's see. Now, to do what we said we were going to do, to extend the center line, we need to have the airport as a waypoint. So let's see if you can enter that waypoint. 0Q5 Shelter Cove. We enter it. It's now active. We put on OBS and then runway. Let's keep descending. Runway we said is runway 12, so we'll adjust the course to 120, and we have to extend the center line. I'm not entirely sure it's exactly 120. Of course, that's an approximate. Well, on the map here we can actually see what it is. Looks like it's more 125. There we go. So we have a nice extended center line. And at this point we're here, we can go just and intercept that. So let's turn around. Heading off 180 would be a nice intercept. There we are. Of course, the 48 miles was in a straight line to the airport, but we didn't take a straight line. So it didn't take much to recover. As you can see now, we need to lose 10,000 feet and we have 37 miles to do that. We got back on plan very quickly. So we definitely won a few miles to play with. So we want to keep that 3 degrees descent path now. Also, again, we won't be going in a straight line, so we have a little more margin. Speed of 245, descending at 1,200 feet per minute. this point we monitor this line. So when it will start intercepting our course, we'll then revert to nav. We should go and intercept it nicely. Try to do an intercept a little less steep than this. But as we get closer, we'll change the heading. Have a slightly shallower angle of intercept. $7,500 feet to lose. That's 22.5 miles. We're good. But technically we could descending actually down right to the airport to do a nice continuous descent path. We don't need margin. I shallowed out a little bit the descent. Slowed it. Keep monitoring the descent. 6,000 feet, 24 miles to go. We're good. Make it a little bit shallower and try and intercept. Of course we keep going on to a diagonal, so the relation is slightly different as we're not heading directly towards the airport. Will be shortly. You can see, keep an eye on the magenta line. We're about to intercept. Yeah, it's coming in. Let it come in 1 notch or 2. And now we can press nav. GPS is active. We're going to intercept. See, yeah, we were a little bit. The angle was a little bit too high, the angle of intercept. So you see, we overshot a little, but it's going to go and recover. Now this will be a little bit more accurate as we're going straight for the airport, but it does look like there's a very big rock. Very big chunk of... Ah, no. We're okay. The airport is down here. Was afraid it was just behind this. Perfect. We can see the airport. There it is. Looks like another funny runway, but we'll see when we're there. Let's put landing lights on. Inertial separator. $3,500 to lose. And 30 miles to do that, so yeah. We could. Tells us as well, around as you can see here, all the details. Tells you the elevation, tells you the length of the runway, the 2 runways available. Relatively short runway. $2,700, $2,500 to lose. 7.5 miles. We are 8.3, so we can start now going back to our 3 degrees rate of descent. We start slowing down as well. We're at 7 miles. We're doing 200, we should be going down at 1,000 feet per minute. Try and fall below 178, so we can put the gear down and the first notch of flaps. There we go, 178. Gear down. Start making us lose speed much faster. Flaps, take off. And of course, watch that rate of descent. Be careful because of course it balloons a lot, even on autopilot, when you put the flaps down. We're now 4 miles out. We'll hold flaps landing for now. Just go manual from now. Disconnect the autopilot. Do make sure that you disconnect the autopilot from here, from the yoke. Because if you do it from here, it doesn't disconnect the yaw damper. And you need to have the yaw damper off for landing. There we go, so 132 knots. We'll be going down at around 650 feet per minute.
Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead.
Ooh, this airfield is not
Terrain ahead.
in the list.
Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead.
Inhibit. Terrain warning. There we go. So below 122 we can put the last notch of flaps. But I got deviated a little bit there. Slow down to 90. Keep going down. Flaps are down. Gear is down. We're good to go. Forget, you probably it's better probably to inhibit the terrain warning for the whole trip. Try and keep 85. Not a very flat runway today either. Oh, that's a bumpy runway. Oopsie. There we go, yeah. Wasn't the proudest landing, but this runway really scared me. It's fine, we can take a hard landing. A great landing, 190 feet per minute in a TBM. I'm not entirely sure it's considered a great landing, but I almost felt it in my spine. I think I need a chiropractor now. There you go. Yes, do remember to put the terrain warning system in inhibit mode. So all these airports are not recognized by the system. So it's just better to do it all the time, and especially because it's quite fiddly to go back to the main screen. So it's better if you do it at the beginning. Now, in reality, you definitely would not want to have that off while you're flying, but try and remember to do it on approach. So you go back to the main screen over here where you have system, then you scroll the inner knob 3 times until you get to the DAWS and just press inhibit. There we go. It is a little fiddly to get, especially if you have other menus open. It is a little challenging to fly and revert to that system. There you go. Pitot heat can go off. Landing lights, taxi strobe off. Anyway, we can park somewhere here. Hard landing, but do remember, don't try butter on short runways. That's why I went down with at that speed. It was a very short runway. You don't want to try and be a virtuous and do your batters and then run out of runway. Just bring it down safely. That's all that matters, really. There we are. Set parking brake. Inertia separator off. Low idle. Aircon needs to go off. And the bleed's off. Oxygen, we don't need it anymore. Engine off. Fuel pump off, autopilot trim off, fuel selector off. All lights off. Everything off there, everything off there. All off. All off. And we're good. Welcome to Shelter Cove. There we go. Look at that place. Must be stunning landing in real life. And that's where we're heading for the last and final part of the trips. So guys, thank you very much again for joining me today, and I very much look forward to the last leg with you tomorrow. Set the chocks. Remember, always put your covers. And there we go. Thank you very much again, and I'll see you the next time. Thank you. Bye now.